Hey everyone, welcome back. As you may know, if you clicked on this video, I am gearing up for maternity leave soon. So baby girl could literally be here within the next few weeks, which is such a crazy feeling. And preparing for maternity leave was something that was really important to me to figure out early on when I first got pregnant. But as a creator slash entrepreneur, I am self-employed. And so maternity leave just looks a bit different than someone who has designated paid time off. Today, I want to share how I'm personally planning to take time off so that I can embrace this transition into motherhood while also keeping things running smoothly on the back end while I'm away. I asked you all on Instagram to send some questions, so this video will have two parts. First part will be a Q&A, and the second part I will share a rundown of what I did each trimester to prep for maternity leave. I also created a checklist just to make it really easy on you to grab everything that I did and just see my thought process behind everything, and hopefully that helps you. So I'll leave that link in the description. It's in my free shared Notion hub with all my other free templates. You can opt in there. So whether you're a fellow content creator, a small business owner, or you're just curious about the process, I really hope this video is helpful for you. Before I dive into the Q&A, I'd like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. On the topic of planning and preparation, I of course had to lean on my Google Calendar to get organized. So if you'd like to learn my ways, you can take my Skillshare class. In my Chaos to Calm workshop, I teach you how to master Google Calendar to create a calming, productive workspace that truly brings you joy and ease. Skillshare also happens to be the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes, everything from time management and productivity to film, art, content creation, freelance. I saw a sourdough class on there. It is such a great way to expand on your hobbies and interests. They also offer learning paths, which are curated class collections that help you develop a specific skill from start to finish. So if you're interested, check out Skillshare. They are offering a 1-month free trial to the first 500 people who click the link in my description. All right, now let's get into this Q&A. First, I had some general questions on where do you even begin when it comes to prepping for leave? Before anything, I wanted to create my vision for maternity leave. So I did what I do best and I journaled on it. I asked myself, what does my ideal maternity leave look like? What boundaries do I want in place? How much time would I ideally like to take off? How much time off can I comfortably afford? We'll talk more about that in a bit. By defining what maternity leave means to me, this helped me find more clarity on how to work backwards from that vision to make it a reality. Maternity leave for me means no email, no deadlines, and minimal to no communication with my team in Slack, which is our messaging app that we use. For the duration of my maternity leave, I will have no work obligations. Someone asked, will you be taking a break from social media? I definitely plan to take a break, but I'm not making any hardcore rules. I just want to be present, and I want to take it day by day and just see how I feel. And if one day inspiration hits, once I find my groove, and if I'm feeling excited about the idea of creating again, then I also want to leave space for that. So I'm, again, just not really setting these hardcore rules that I have to follow. But I will not be taking on any partnerships. I won't have deadlines. No obligations. Anything I create will just be out of my own desire for creative expression. I also won't be launching anything or managing any of the day-to-day in my business. I'm already feeling myself out of breath. For me, I want to be very present with my baby and really protect this 4th trimester, specifically those first 40 days postpartum. I'm putting a big emphasis on my own rest and recovery and bonding with my baby. Honoring the 40 days after birth is a very common practice amongst other cultures, including Asia. You can Google on it, read on it. Unfortunately, in Western society, we have a long way to go in that regard, but that is a topic for another day. As far as how much time I'm taking off, I decided that I want to take off at least 2 months, probably 3, and at that point I'll just ease back into work only part-time. I'm setting up my out of office message for July through sometime in September, and I'm not committing to any hard dates for when I come back externally because that just doesn't feel good for me right now. And one of the major pros of being self-employed is that flexibility. So I want to fully embrace that and just keep things open-ended so I can vibe it out as I go. That's kind of been my motto, just vibe it out, see how I feel, and that's all I can do. How did you plan finances for when you're not working? Did you set aside extra earnings to support time with your little one? While my company doesn't have benefits, insurance, or pay time off, my husband does, and he has a very generous PTO. He's planning on taking 3 months up front, and then he'll take the second 3 months in the new year. So he gets a full 6 months of paid time off. So I'm not doing this alone. I feel like I never hear other entrepreneurs talk about how their partner factors into the equation. This is definitely a team effort. With that said, I've been working for myself full time for over 7 years. So my business is established. I have savings, but most importantly, I have passive income, mostly from my digital products, my Notion templates, digital journal, courses, things like that. I spent over 3 years building that side of my business, which now allows me more financial freedom and flexibility. So I'm very grateful and proud of this because it took a lot of hard work. I encourage any content creator to think long-term and start building multiple income streams, especially ones that aren't dependent on you showing up as the face in order to get paid. But again, with that said, I am definitely going to bring in less revenue this year, and that is the season of life that I'm in. I'm honestly so ready to welcome this next chapter. I've had over a decade of time to build my career, travel, enjoy life with just Andrew, and we both feel so ready to shift our focus and to reevaluate how much is enough. It's been a practice of detaching my self-worth and my identity from my work and my accomplishments. And honestly, it wasn't easy to do until I got pregnant. And then I feel like my brain just rewired itself because right now, nothing feels more important than my baby that I'm about to meet. And let me tell you, it's been liberating. Okay, but back to tangible, because I definitely want this video to be helpful and I want to be as transparent as possible. Figuring out how much time off your business can afford is obviously a big factor for maternity leave. I have a team that I pay. I have ongoing business expenses that don't just stop when I stop. And so these were things I had to consider. To prepare for bringing in less revenue, I did go through, evaluate my priorities, and I cut or consolidate expenses where I could. I wrapped up projects with a few contractors, so that's no longer a recurring expense. I decided to completely pause certain areas of my business that I've been on the fence about anyways. Basically anything that was already kind of hanging by a thread, I cut. As a whole, when I return from maternity leave, I want to run a simpler, leaner business that really complements the life that I want to live. So I'm sure I'll talk more about that in the future when I'm on the other side. How much content did you pre-prep? Will you still be coming out with Slow Brew Sunday weekly? It's my favorite. Thank you so much. What's your prep process like for batching newsletters since you write to us personally? Figured I would just answer all these questions as one. The only content I prepped was newsletter content. I batched over 3 months worth of newsletters for Slow Brew Sunday, and this was actually really fun because it felt like writing letters for a little time capsule that you get to open. So I really hope you'll enjoy it. We also prepared a systems reboot challenge for August, which is gonna be really, really fun. So we have a plan for that. I have the girls on my team doing a newsletter takeover a couple times so you can get to know more of the behind the scenes. And if you're new here and you have no idea what I'm talking about, Slow Brew Sunday is my weekly feel-good newsletter. It's filled with personal stories, mindful productivity tips, and encouragement to kick off your week with a clear mind and a full cup. Not to brag, but there's over 80,000 subscribers, so it's a really good time. And we also have a companion podcast that I sprinkle in when I feel inspired to hit record. Beyond my newsletter, I haven't batched any other content. I'm actually pausing all Homebodies content. Homebodies is my online shop. The shop will keep running, but the newsletter and the Instagram, I'm pausing that. And as for my own social media, it just wouldn't feel authentic to batch a bunch of content and have it posting autopilot when I'm not actively there. I also want to set the tone for others that it's okay to take time off, and you should. I don't want to contribute to hustle culture and perpetuate the idea that social media requires constant activity. We deserve breaks. Maternity leave or not, no explanation needed. We deserve breaks. Are you anxious to start everything back up after your maternity leave? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. I am so excited for this next chapter, and I think this is going to bring a fresh perspective. I am excited to meet the woman I evolve into from this experience. I've been craving change for a long time, so I'm really welcoming it with open arms. And I feel like there's a lot of fear in social media. If you pause or if you take a break for too long, then things just disappear. But honestly, I have to live my life first. And again, I'm trying to build a business that complements the life I want to live, and I'm not going to be working my life around social media. Life comes first. I'm just so excited for this change and what new inspiration it's gonna bring. Okay friends, now we're on to part 2. I just want to rattle off a bunch of things that I did to prep for maternity leave from first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. And again, you can grab this entire checklist in my free Notion shared hub. You opt in, it'll add you to my newsletter, you'll get Slow Brew Sunday, and you can unsubscribe anytime. I wanted this to be as helpful as possible, and so I'm gonna just kind of recap a little bit about that. I have my iPad here. Hope you don't mind me kind of reading off of it a little bit. First trimester, wasn't feeling too hot. So I spent a lot of time on the couch laying down on my phone, and that was actually when I did a lot of research. I did a lot of baby research. I was on TikTok a lot. My screen time was through the roof, but I also used this time to kind of figure out what my vision for maternity leave is. So I just journaled on it. I really focused more on like the internal work and research. And honestly, if you're feeling not great in your first trimester and you don't have the energy to do research, that is fine. You are growing an entire human. So you just have to have compassion and grace for yourself. For me, this was really the time where I did that research and just started to plant the seed. I also reached out to other entrepreneurs that are in a similar space and asked them for their advice and guidance, knowing what they know now as a mom, and that was really helpful. So don't be afraid to reach out to people who've been through this. When I'm on the other side of it, I am more than happy to share my learnings. I can only speak to what I know right now. I would love to share any insights that I gain once I'm, again, on the other side. The other thing that I did besides creating my vision, chatting with other entrepreneurs, was reviewing my financials. It was more of getting the wheels turning. It wasn't actually getting down into the weeds and like mapping it all out. Second trimester, that is when things really started moving. If you're anything like me, my second trimester was amazing. I had so much energy, so I really just leaned into it. I created a ton of content for fun and for work. I amped up my partnerships. I really just leaned into the fact that I was feeling good and I wanted to get as much done during this time as possible. So this is the bulk of my checklist. At around 11 or 12 weeks, I let my team know that I was pregnant. I started discussing my tentative leave dates so that we could all just start to prepare together and work backwards from that. We went through and created a list of what we're gonna pause while I'm away, what I'm just straight up cutting and just like not doing anymore. We created a backlog list of projects that people can work on while I'm out. Obviously, with my digital products, we still have emails and customer service and things like that. So for those tasks, we wrote out scopes of work and processes and workflows for different things. We have templates for how to respond to frequently asked questions. You know, I just trust that my team can handle everything that comes up. And if there is something that comes up that's like, we really don't know, I just remind myself that I'm not out here curing cancer, and there's nothing more important right now than tending to my baby and focusing on our well-being as a family. So I'm just gonna trust in my team. They're great, and we're all just gonna do the best we can. Again, as I mentioned, I did pre-prep some newsletter content, but I didn't prep all these social media posts. I also made sure to communicate with my manager. This is when I'm gonna stop taking on partnerships. So like I stopped taking on brand partnerships like a month ago, and the current partnerships that I have left are wrapping up this month. After that, I have nothing scheduled, and I'm planning on resyncing with my manager sometime in September, and we'll talk about if I'm ready to start back up again. But everything is flexible, and I am gonna just see how I feel and vibe it out. Third trimester, I will be honest, by the time I hit 30 weeks, I felt a significant shift in my energy. I started to have more back pain. I really felt this pull to ease off of my work. And so I would recommend to anybody, try to start easing off of your work a month before your due date, because deadlines, they have a way of stretching out and things get delayed. And then, yeah, you just want to have a buffer so that way you can have a couple weeks to yourself to just embrace this in-between moment before you meet your baby, before life drastically changes. I am so looking forward to this few weeks that I'm gonna have where I can just focus on my well-being, prepping any last minute things for our baby, food, freezing some things, going on walks, seeing my friends, just like really soaking up this quiet time. So if it's possible for you, definitely give yourself a buffer. This week we've been going through and finalizing all newsletter content. I have an editor who's going through and checking all the links, and we are scheduling everything out. So my team is gonna have that running while I'm away. I drafted my out of office, which I have in my Notion checklist. So if you wanna, what was that? This whole week is just, I feel like it's the last week of school before summer break. Even though I know I'm not going on vacation, I'm literally about to enter 24/7 mom mode. It still feels a little bit like that. So I'm wrapping up any active projects that I have, just clearing through things, letting things go that just aren't gonna get done and being okay with that. Yeah, honestly, when all is said and done, all you can do at the end of the day is embrace it. Embrace this change, let go of the stress, you know, like I said, I'm not out here saving the world. I really love what I do and I feel very fulfilled by it, but at the end of the day, I did the best I could to prepare for this amazing time, and now I just want to sink in, enjoy it, and really be present for this next chapter. Just remember, while obviously work is important, we have to make a living, it's also such a crazy feeling to step into motherhood, and I want to look back and just feel really proud of myself and fond of this time. It's just been really awesome. Yeah, I really can't put it into words. Being pregnant has been such a privilege. I am so grateful that I've had a relatively smooth pregnancy, and I'm just very excited to meet our baby and just see how life is going to shift and change. It's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, it already does feel like that, like emotionally, just like what we have to go through just to get to this point where you get your baby. It's just crazy. Anyways, I just feel really grateful. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I really hope this video was helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, just let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. This isn't the last video I'm gonna post before I go on break. I think I have 1 or 2 more videos planned. We'll just see. Again, I'm just vibing it out. All I'm doing these days, seeing how I feel. So thanks for being here. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.